Good morning, you guys. In 7:20, 6:51 a.m. Jason Elliott, and I'm not going to be in today. As you can tell, I'm sick. I'm not going to give you gory details. It's just been a long night. Don't want to leave the group hanging, so this is just me picking up from where they've left off for our presentation. So here we go. Just leave this in an open tab and go back to the PowerPoint, and I'll keep going. So carbon trading is not the answer. So there's working on carbon trading instead of global warming. So why would you do that? Why work on another issue when you should be working on the problem? The allocating resources to carbon trading instead of global warming. It ties into it. If you're going to dedicate all of this money, time, and effort, why not deal with the direct problem of global warming? Required knowledge for carbon trading. I'm going to highlight that it's still beyond our means to effectively work the way, in theory, it should. Carbon trading goes against democracy. In other words, it goes against some of the principles and ideals of what people would want out of it. People would want it to be a tool to do the right thing. Carbon trading causes interference in terms of positive gains with global warming. Some of the issues I'll cover that interfere with trying to solve global warming. Carbon trading will not eliminate global warming but promote it, and I'll mention how that works. What should we work on? So I've highlighted here is the problem reducing or eliminating carbon emissions. Summed up, why set up a mechanism putting a price on carbon and making it a commodity and allocating everything that goes behind it versus stopping the emissions altogether? As you can see, once you make it a commodity, it has to stay there for there to be a value upon it. If there's an improvement for the planet, where is it? So you're rewarding those companies who have money to basically buy up the rights for more pollution. How do you reverse or stop this trend once it's in place? You've got a mechanism that functions upon fossil fuels being drawn upon. And then I said, what is the fall of creating this system? Well, that you're perpetuating the exact thing that you're fighting against. What resources would be needed to create carbon trading? And I ask this of you, I ask this of us, of everyone. How would the mechanism be effectively created? Who do we appoint to create it, the actual market, as a fully functional, justified, fairly, let me note that, fairly operating system? I mean, do we trust Wall Street after everything that's happened with Enron, bank bailouts, TARP money? I mean, you might be having some of the same people who are watchdogs for that be for this, or, the federal government drawing upon for regulators. And do we necessarily trust these people? Are they the right people? The man hours, several of the articles I read is that, they can't even assign estimates because you have to have the entire global community in place to work together to try and maintain this. And then I talk about the trust. What do we need to know to facilitate the carbon trading? How are we going to effectively monitor these emissions every single place on the planet, every single day, every single second, basically? The outlay of resources, again, is huge. How accurate is it going to be? So if I'm country A and I'm putting out 100 emission units, and you're country B and you're putting out 50 emission units, how are the units defined as? Is it accurate? Tying back to previous slides, so then if I have a ton of money, I buy up yours and I get to pollute more. And then if you cut back where you're at, your cutting back does less help than if I was to cut back because I'm the bigger culprit producing more. So there's impact. Talked about the emissions there, the cuts. So again, I mean, we've seen the stock market be railed against and crash, and so these values are the same too. Where is the incentive? Because it's volatile, and people like to stay away from anything volatile, especially when there's prices on it. I mean, you're going to have the global community wanting it as one, and you're talking about every single company, every single person being on board with this. That's a pretty big order to fill. And then, how are we assigning these pollution rights in the first place? So there's that. Talking about, is it democratic? The incentive to hide the truth. If you're in a market-based system, I don't want you to have the advantages I have. I want to make money, so I'm going to try and get the upper hand over you. The bottom line is money. That is the bottom line. It would not be, the moral and ethical issues would be out the window, because I want my business to thrive, and that it thrives on money. It doesn't thrive on good feelings. I talked about the watchdog issue. Would you trust what's going on? So that comes into play with anyone who would be regulating the system. Who wins, who loses? You got money, you win. You can pollute more. Who loses? The planet, or anyone who's already formed their low carbon use form of life. Because you're taking the incentives away from it. What happens to those who already seek and support low carbon way of life? Well, they get, basically, their way gets hindered, or put in the back seat. Interfering with real solutions. How much is wasted? So, again, the money, the commissions, the people, the paperwork, the time, and all the systems you'd have to build worldwide. Why not use those resources in solving the problem, on eliminating the greenhouse gas emissions, i.e. the carbon, directly? What's promoted and deterred in the system. By now, I hope you've been noticing the images I put along, so just look at counterthink on this one. What do the carbon credit sales do? Opens the door for just buying up. You got the money, pollute what you want. The theory, they talk about, it's a wonderful thing that, you'll make money by selling off the units you don't use, but that basically promotes the bigger companies to not have to worry about their fossil fuel emissions. So, there's that. And then I close with carbon trading promoting global warming. You'll see Gaia here. This is our thought provoker. This is all based on a belief. It's all a bunch of good feelings. That the market's all going to work together, and we all care about the planet, and we will all make it a better place. Do you believe every single person on the planet is going to be on board with that, or the people within this market system where they're dealing with a commodity and a bottom line? Blind to the truth. Transparency. You've heard President Obama talk about it. Where is there going to be transparency in the companies who are working towards the bottom line versus what they're doing to help the planet? What has experience taught us up to this point? Well, Wall Street, TARP money, bailouts, economic crash. Those are some of the experiences. The federal government, they can't even work out health care, and these could be the same people monitoring this for us. Insanity, repeating something over and over again and expecting a different outcome. If healthcare is not working, the economy still hasn't recovered, and why would we expect these people to do any better with monitoring and using carbon trading? I've talked about there's room for more pollution. And then finally, guys, looking at Gaia here in the comic, what is the ultimate cause of greenhouse gas emissions? It's us. We're the polluters. So I go to the last slide. On behalf of our group, thank you so much. I appreciate them fielding the questions for me since I'm a complete wreck. Everyone, have a good one. I'm signing off, and I'm going back to sleep.